Oh, look at this. It's the whole gang. I
Oh,
love it.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to
Just can I
see
just
everyone.
that's a beautiful piece of art behind you, Tom, as well. I mean,
Oh,
Russell's obviously the art man, but that's a beautiful piece of art.
thank you. Yeah, it's not mine. I didn't make it, but yeah, nice. It's pretty, isn't it? Yeah.
Lush.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time today. Can we just say happy birthday, Russell?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers. Cheers. I appreciate that.
Oh, I would have got at least a cupcake if I'd known in advance with a little.
Oh,
Yeah, next time I'll try. Yeah, put a note in my diary for next year. Um,
cool.
yeah, thanks so much for taking the time out today to talk about your film. Huge congratulations on this film. It's not every film that you watch that is entertaining, is amazing performances, brilliant story, but something that kind of really stays with you. But you also feel the importance of it and it being out there and it being something that encourages conversation and debate and gives people a voice, I think. And that's what I feel the film kind of really does. Carmen, congratulations on this beautiful piece of work. What for you was the encouragement? Where did the encouragement come from to write this first of all and kind of decide that this was the project you wanted to take forward?
I guess it was kind of out of desperation, to be honest. I really wanted to direct something. I think that was the ultimate motivator.
Yeah.
I was just really tired of, I was freelance shooting. Like I was doing a lot of work in camera and I grew up working with cameras and I still love camera, but I always wanted to direct. And I quickly realized that I had to write something. Since it was my first feature and I had to learn how to write. So I kind of threw myself into that. I grew up in a very supportive environment. My family, I remember when I was I think I was like 15 and I really wanted a computer so I could edit on so I needed a Mac. And I remember like my dad took me to this place on like Erie Boulevard in Syracuse and because they were expensive. I mean they still are, but back then they were expensive. He's like, "Are you sure that this is what you want to do?" And I remember being like 15 and like, "Yes, like I want to be a filmmaker." And we went and got a computer, and I still have it actually somewhere. But yeah, I grew up with a very supportive family. So I suppose that was, that's very
Mm.
helpful. Yeah.
And talk about the kind of the journey of, of writing the script because what I learned from speaking to a number of people was the journey that in itself can take in terms of you start off with an idea and as you're writing it will evolve and grow and take you in certain
Mm.
directions and characters may present themselves to you and relationships might present themselves to you in kind of different ways. I'm interested to kind of what you started with to what you then started with for shooting.
So funny because I can't believe I'm saying this. Like we're submitting for awards, for like screenplay consideration
Mhm.
and things like that. And I had to submit a shooting draft of my script. So I went back into my plain clothes parentheses 2020 folder. Um,
2020.
that's when I wrote my first draft
Wow.
for the script. But yeah, I went back to like my inspirations folder, and what I saw that I did was I started by writing scenes between characters. And it was really interesting because it was the characters that I started with was Lucas, who's played by Tom, and then Emily, his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, who's played by Amy Forsyth. I would just write dialogue scenes between them, and what I realized I was doing was kind of forming Lucas's backstory. Andrew is really inspired by queer men that I've met on my journey, I would say.
Mm.
But yeah, it's really interesting to see how the story took form. I stuck pretty close to my initial outline, but I submitted it to a lot of competitions that impacted, the
Yeah.
direction that I took it. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah.
Deserves to be in there. Tom Russell, how did the script kind of present itself to you and both of you? What was your kind of response to the story and these characters? Tom, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it came to me in kind of like the usual traditional way of my agent sending it to me and saying, I think you'd love this. Um, and kind of was aware that it was coming from a first time filmmaker. And for me, that's always really exciting to kind of get to know someone whose work I don't know yet
Mm.
and just a creative who I don't know yet. And then I read the script and fell in love with it immediately. It was just something super special, something I hadn't seen before, and I felt like the story was kind of urgent and needed to be told, and I hadn't seen this story told before in this world and in kind of the world of like undercover policing, especially. And so, yeah, I was just eager to meet Carmen, and then we had a Zoom, and I just kind of fell in love with Carmen as a creative and as a human, and he's got such a vision, but also has a huge heart, and those two things combined, I think I just had a feeling that he was going to bring his whole self to the process, and he went above and beyond that when we were shooting, and kind of completely even surpassed my expectations. And yeah, yeah,
And such a kind of, there's so much almost that comes out of the character that's unspoken in a way as well, in terms of that performance that not everything is verbalized. It's kind of it's in the performance that we get to understand elements of this character as well. Is that a kind of beautiful part of taking on a character like this?
yeah. I mean, I love both. I love getting to do the kind of bombastic, like larger than life characters, but I also love characters like Lucas, where I get to kind of just think the thoughts and feel the feelings and hope that the camera is catching it. But I do think on film, I think characters with a really rich like interior life that isn't performative in any way. They excite me. I think Lucas excites me because he was so, even without a lot of dialogue on the page, he was so rich and full, and I could feel his desires and his fears and
Mm,
his dreams like coming through the page. And it's kind of, I love the challenge of how do I think my way through all that and let the camera find it. And it's, yeah, I like that a lot. I love the kind of, I mean, so much of life is silent, right? We walk around, you walk around London and you're not talking to every person you pass.
yeah.
And, if you're single and you meet someone like Andrew out and about, like the first thing is probably eye contact that you do. Like a lot of human interaction actually isn't dialogue.
Yeah.
And so I find that exciting, like the behavioral stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Russell, what about for you?
Well, I mean, it came to me same generic routes of via a producer or agent. We read it, and then I got onto online with Carmen, and then we started a conversation. And he felt like a Labrador puppy, very excitable, and that was an infectious energy. And then he brought me and Tom together, and we read a scene together, a couple of scenes together, and that just felt incredibly special. And I came off of that meeting feeling like we could do something great with this script. And I was attached to the script because I really enjoyed the intergenerational conversation, the intergenerational connection between these two characters. I really felt the stillness that was in there. And there was also these two guys grappling with what it was to be or have connections or attractions to someone of the same gender. But yet when they connected with each other, there was a real softness
Mm,
that the two they were not allowed to experience in their lives. They were so
mm,
caught up in what it was, the tropes of masculinity. And as the film goes on for my character, you understand how much further he's trapped himself in. But it felt like a real gift. And obviously, a lot of queer cinema or a lot of queer projects that come up, there is an intense tragedy in things. They
yeah.
always, especially if it's a period piece of this period, 97, we all know what was happening within the queer community then. But this film was so full of hope and it wasn't tragic. And that was really important to me. And I feel like as a young man myself, I would have seen this film and felt inspired and felt hope. And this film is full of hope. And in
Mm.
today's climate, especially, queer cinema is more important than ever, but also these stories that humanize and also find similarities rather than differences between us all. And I think Carmen achieved that beautifully.
I think that that's one of the many sort of kind of important things about the film that it's, this is, you mentioned it being a period film and it's kind of, uh, and it's that sort of thing where it's, I don't know, it should have been a period film in one way, but it isn't because so many of the things that are happening in the film and where it's set are still happening now or are
Oh my God.
reoccurring now. And it's kind of, it's such a it's just such an important conversation to be having, and your film really addresses that as well. Carmen, was that something that, in terms of the decision to set it in that period, but it have such relevance to now?
No, I mean, I said it in the 90s because I wanted to go back to the time in my life when I started kind of suppressing my feelings.
Yeah.
That happened in the 90s when I was a kid. The movie was inspired by events that I read about in an LA Times article in like 2016, where there was a sting operation in Long Beach, California in 2014.
Wow.
So I kind of just took creative liberties, and I was like, well, if it happened in 2014, it probably happened in 1997, which it did. George Michael was arrested in a Beverly Hills
Yeah.
bathroom. And it's still, even this year, it was happening in Penn Station in New York City. And I met the legal team of the case that inspired me in California from 2016. And they were saying that they were defending people who were arrested in like 2019. So it's something that is just ongoing. So it was never my intention for it to like kind of feel timeless, I guess.
Mm.
But it's just unfortunately like the reality that we're in. Yeah.
Was so wild, Edith, when we had the premiere in New York, this story had literally come out that 200 men were being entrapped via an app by police officers at Penn Station, and a huge proportion were being sent to ICE facilities with no trial. And this came out
Oh
as
my
the film
God.
came out, and so many people were coming to see the film because it was like it was the zeitgeist of the worst news could be. It was bizarre, and what was terrifying and upsetting about it is that history does repeat itself and
Mm.
it's cyclical. And this was meant to be a period piece, as Carmen was saying, but it just isn't. So suddenly we had an amazing response because of the how beautiful the movie is, but also because of how timely it was. It was
Mm.
like these officers have watched our film and gone, "Oh, that's a good idea," and then gone off. It's just like it was crazy. That's how history is crazy, but that's why it's so important
Mm.
to make these films about these stories so that people can actually see the human beings that are experiencing this.
And especially Tom with your character, in terms of that kind of almost kind of being caught, entrapped himself, in terms of on in the in his role as a police officer and his feelings, in terms of this kind of crazy situation that he finds himself in. And I wondered if you dug in any research and spoke to to many people in terms of finding out things for you. I know research is such a big part with for actors with preparation and things, or not, but for you, what was the route for this particular role?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was the research on like the policing side I had to do.
Yeah.
Did a lot of reading and watching documentaries about just undercover cover policing in general, and especially in kind of the 80s into the 90s, and policing practices. And then on the more like personal character side, I mean, I drew on a lot of stories that my friends have told me
Yeah.
about their coming out stories and like friends who are in the queer community and who have heard over many years of like varied stories about the difficulties they had in school, difficulties they had in work, difficulties friends had with family, or also stories of acceptance, or like surprise when there was more acceptance than they expected, um,
Mm.
or vice versa. And yeah, a couple of friends in particular who I kind of held in my heart as I was building Lucas from the ground up, and one of my best friends who I kind of I spoke to Carmen quite openly about and was like, I'm kind of doing this for him,
Mm.
because he had a very complex like story of acceptance that's still ongoing,
I
and yeah,
met him, didn't I, Tom? Didn't I meet him?
you did, yeah. And so yeah,
What a lovely gift.
it was it was one. I think it was the first time actually that I've like felt like I was building a character almost like on behalf of someone that I knew. Or not that it was for them, but it was kind of like in conversation with real people who I knew, which was a really unique experience and special. And yeah, I think it made me just feel really beholden to kind of like honoring people who I love. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was kind of the personal research I did. Yeah.
Carmen, did you know all about this side of it?
Yeah, yeah. He told me a bit. I just like hearing about it. I think it's so sweet.
Well, also
Tom, he's a great friend.
a
Go
big
ahead.
part of it was like honoring Carmen as well, because Carmen was so forthcoming from day one. From the minute we first met, he was so vulnerable and raw and opened his heart up to kind of he'd already mined it into the script, and then allowed like Russell and I to mine it more. And so much of Lucas and Andrew, I think, are parts of Carmen,
Mm,
Yeah.
and all the family as well. And so like, so a big
totally.
part of it was just like, if ever I felt lost, I just looked at Carmen and was like, let's talk about it. And we all very much, we were such an open and kind of available creative space that we all created together.
Yeah, I think I remember before we began, I went up to Tom was in Calgary shooting Billy the Kid, and we had like we were supposed to have like an hour meeting, and it ended up being like 5 hours. But in the beginning, I was like, "All right, this is a safe space. We're just gonna spill everything that we have." We like shook hands and we just kind of like really opened up to each other, and I think that just kind of created, yeah, a space of safety and just honesty. So I knew about, where the inspirations he would be drawing from. And I
Mm.
think after that meeting, was when I really started like to like see Lucas in front of me, which was really cool. Yeah.
I just want to mention the kind of the ensemble cast as well, because those characters are so brilliantly written as well, Carmen. That's kind of there's so many kind of textures to whether it's the family or whether it's his fellow officers, or all those, they're so brilliantly written, and they add so much to how we feel about these characters and the relationship and the shame that they feel, and it's kind of it's just so, it's easy to talk about Tom and Russell's characters, but all those other characters are just really brilliantly written. So I just wanted to say congratulations on that side as well, because they're so important to the story.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Little Miss Sunshine's one of my favorite movies.
Oh, I love it.
And I love like every character just feels so full, and but they all
Mm,
kind of like talk to each other in a way.
mm.
Like I feel like they all kind of like help the story go along, and that's what I wanted to do here. And especially with the police officers, I didn't want to, I think it's very easy to paint people a certain way, especially if you don't necessarily agree with what
Yeah,
they do. But my brother was a police officer at the time of writing this, so I spent a lot of time with him and his friends to
yeah.
understand like their point of view, and I put that into the characters. Yeah.
Amazing. How is it kind of, you've done it. That first film's done. You've done it. It's, and it's getting, an amazing response, and continues to, kind of really connect with people, and people really care about it as well. How does it feel that it's out, you've birthed it. It's out there. It's kind
Oh
of,
my gosh. No, it's amazing. It was a bit of a whirlwind. I feel like I kind of blacked out between the months of like June and right now. But but I think I'm like finally coming back to where I was, like before that. And I'm just so grateful. The response has been amazing. I think one of my favorite parts of it have been talking to people after the screenings and connecting with people who connect with Lucas. Like that's
yeah.
just like the greatest gift, is it something I wrote is inspiring people to have a conversation. I feel like that's the biggest, I think that's the best thing that could happen for a film and a filmmaker. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well there'll be so many people that will talk and find conversation with people, new people after the film, kind of coming out the cinema and just starting to chat to people. I've kind of noticed that of people just want to talk to you about it. And
Mhm.
and I also think that there's so many, like I was saying about those other characters, there's so many things within those characters that people either see, oh man, that's maybe how I am, or I don't want to be like that. Or, I think there's lessons almost that the film can teach people as well, which I think is another layer to it as well, which is so brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
excited. What's next, Carmen?
Ooh.
Of
Well, I
maybe a
want to,
holiday first,
yeah.
or just to give yourself a little bit of time. But I hope that you are already thinking about your next film.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I
Good.
definitely want to work with these two again. I want to work with a lot of the whole cast was amazing in this, honestly. Like if I could keep working with them, which I intend to, that would
Mm.
be great. But I'm thinking the next one I'm writing seems to be going in like the psychological horror space, it seems. So
Amazing.
that'll be interesting.
Me up,
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
What?
me up.
Yeah, yeah.
It was such a beautiful energy that he created on set. I mean, myself and Tom had the most amazing time, but everybody, I stepped onto this production, they'd already been filming for like 8 days or something, and the whole thing was shot over 18 days, which is
Whoa.
Yeah.
but I stepped on then and they'd already filmed the latter scenes, and then I come in for the first scenes, and you'll see that where Tom's got different haircuts. He suits both of them
And
beautifully.
some really bad facial hair.
Oh, I
It
like
was
that.
fine.
That's great.
Energy was this energy had been created on set that was just so calm,
Mm.
and there was a serenity that went through everyone, and everybody was so committed to this script, and it was such a beautiful job. And you make so many things like this and you hope and pray that they connect with an audience somewhere at some time, but you also walk away going, well, that was good. But this one, we all walked away going, this was absolutely beautiful. We all loved each other. And now to have this sort of response and to be, it's just gone out on the streamers. So now people are watching it on the streamers, and suddenly I'm getting DMs from all over the world from people that couldn't see it at festivals. And as Carmen was saying, it's been like selected for all these awards, and myself and Tom are now under BAFTA consideration as Best Actor, Best Supporting, which is pretty wild. So we're going to do a bit of a PR for that. And what you got to do. And it's just been one of those really special jobs. And it does, as Carmen was saying, it does connect an audience that people afterwards ask, where's Lucas now? Where's Andrew now? What's happening to them?
Yeah.
So you make something and people sit through it for an hour and a half, but these characters live beyond
Absolutely.
so many people. And that's when you know you've made something special, is that
Yeah.
they care and they hope and pray that they're all right. Are they okay? And
Mm.
yet Carmen comes like, I have no idea.
I know where they are.
So too. Well,
Yeah, where are they? Carmen, where are they?
Yeah, where are they?
I don't want to spoil anything, but they're great.
Oh, exactly. That's what you say. So nobody knows what you think. So you all have to project. But that's the best movies, is when you have to project your own narrative for the characters beyond what you've just watched, and that's when you know that it's a good film.
Yeah, this little thing that took 18 days to film has had a massive and continues to have a massive impact.
And will
Yeah.
do, and be really important to so many people that find it for years to come.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been so lovely to talk about your film and your collaboration and these wonderful performances. Yeah, huge congratulations to all of you. It's just when it works. And this yeah, it's been congratulations and happy birthday, Russell.
Thank you so much.
Edith, thank you
It's
so
also,
much.
Oh,
Sorry.
pleasure. Go on, Carmen, sorry.
I was going to say it's also a big day. Tom started reviewing croissants again, which,
Oh,
yeah, it's Russell's birthday and Tom started his.
That's my birthday present, surely.
Yeah.
What have you started that cut out as you were saying?
I
Tom
can't-
started, then it went.
I
Oh.
can't believe you're bringing this up on this com. I know. I love croissants basically, Edith, and I used to review them for fun, and I stopped doing it. And then today I had such a bad croissant that I was moved and compelled to start reviewing them again. So yeah, I'm a croissant reviewer by night, basically.
Everybody
Hallelujah.
needs a hobby, Tom. Everybody needs a hobby.
Apparently, I've got too much time on my hands.
I very much doubt that, but great. Know what I'm doing after we leave this meeting. But thank you so much, guys, and
Thank
I
you.
really wish you all the best of luck with all these, awards and submissions and stuff. The film just really, really deserves so many of them.